Hello, my name is Gregor von Laschewski, and today I will be telling you about cloudmesh-common. This is our library in which we have a lot of information stored that allows us to access our operating system functionality. And the way we do this is you have likely already installed the CloudMesh bundle, and that is being done with our CloudMesh installer. To do that, we install cloudmesh installer first on our computer and make sure we have an updated version. So we are using the -u option. And now we have cloudmesh installer installed. And we can list the functionality that is being provided by cloudmesh installer through its manual page. And we see that we have, for example, git clone and git pull and git status, and also the bundles. And these are the bundles that we have provided and allow us to access CloudMesh, because CloudMesh is distributed in many different repositories. And the most important bundles that we talk about are CMS and Cloud. CMS is the base version, and Cloud contains the cloud versions. We have also storage, which includes a little bit more repositories for storage. So what you want to do with this is you want to clone your GitHub related CloudMesh code through the CloudMesh installer, as this is done for developers. And I have already downloaded them. That's the reason why you see this, they already exist. In your case, if you haven't yet done that, they may have to be downloaded. And it's good practice to often pull from here in case we want to make updates. And you can see that here are updates being done. And one of the updates is, for example, in cloudmesh manual. That's the reason why I have to authenticate now. But in case you would like to use SSH keys, make sure you upload SSH keys to your GitHub repository, and then you can use SSH through, for example, SSH add on your command line. This way you don't have to constantly type in the passphrase if there's some changes. So how you want to access Git is your case, your responsibility. And as you see, as this is now, I'm just doing another pull. Everything is okay. And so I can now go ahead and edit my files or review my files in cloudmesh-common. That I will be doing in PyCharm. And in case you, for example, need to have the storage bundle, you naturally need to be installing or updating the storage bundle also. You can see now how many directories there are that I have in my CM directory on CloudMesh. But you don't need all of them, you just need the major ones. And if you use the bundles, it will be downloading you the relevant repositories just automatically, so you don't have to puzzle which one you have to download. So I'm going now into my CM directory, where if you configure it with PyCharm, you can just point to the directory and it will include all the subdirectories in your PyCharm, and then it's very convenient for you to browse and to contribute. As you can see, as I have here also the entire student group in my directory, and that's something that is coming from the bundles. There is a bundle 516 in that particular CloudMesh. And let's take another look at this. So I take a look at the bundles, and as you can see, this is the bundles for 523 and for 516. And here I've also downloaded the 516. So if you ever want to see what another student is doing, you can use cloudmesh installer to also download the entire class repository, including the one from your colleagues. So, and that shows you that this is a very simple process, and I can use the pull. That way I can, for example, see on a weekly basis who has done what on the repositories, and I can focus then on the repositories that have conducted some changes. As you saw, there were some repositories that didn't do anything, so I'm not going to be revisiting these repositories because there seems to be nothing I need to be doing. because TAs need to be doing. So let's go back to our cloudmesh cloud repository, common repository, sorry. And let me make the screen a little bit bigger. So let me reorganize the screen a little bit. And so I show you now some details from cloudmesh-common. I delete all my previous open windows with Command W and OS X. You will have another mechanism to do that on your operating system. So there's a directory called cloudmesh, and there's also a directory called test. These are the important directories for us. So let's take a look at test. We have, for example, there some subdirectories in there, and let's go to run test. That's really simple so that you can see how we write tests. There is a command line with --no capture no that allows me to execute that particular test in my command shell. So let me revisit the command shell. So I go to my directory that's called cloudmesh-common, and now I have the test directory in there. I can pass in this particular directory my command for the PyTest that I copied out of the previous window. I haven't done that correctly here, so let me copy it again and move the window in here so that I can better demonstrate this. So I just put the test in here, and now I can execute the test, and you see that the test includes a benchmark that tells me how long this particular test has been run, and it also showcases me what the system information is on that particular machine, and there is a warning statement in this thing. Then this warning statement doesn't come when I run it a second time, so please ignore this particular warning at this time. But as you can see, we have the information here, and we have clearly the system information being printed out. So now let's go back to the cloudmesh main code. We have a string database here, and that's a database that stores key values into a string database. We needed this primarily to be compatible between Python 2 and Python 3. In future we may drop that library. We have a utils library in which we have listed many useful functions such as search, grab. Path expand is a very good function because it expands the path for the operating system. A yes/no choice, a banner, a heading function that prints out the function name in case you put the heading in a function, a backup, and many more. Copy a file, or read a file, write a file, or generate even a password. In addition to this utility function, we have other things such as, for example, the system information form that we use in our benchmarks, as you have seen. We have also a parameter. That's a really useful class. As you see, we haven't properly documented here. However, it is documented in our manual. So let's, if you find ever a method missing, let me show you how easy it is to add, for example, a manual entry to our function name. So let's go at the end of the function, type in enter, make 3 quotes, type in enter, and we have now here the ability to write some text. I don't complete this entirely, I just write what this function is doing. This is an easy exercise for some other people to complete. Here we show you the use case. We have parameter.expand and then a of 0.1. That means I create a list of a0 and a1. So let's declare the list, and we also need to be making sure, because this is these are strings that we put proper quotes in. So let's do that now. And that's the functionality, and this way we can create uniform names for many thousands of hosts if we needed to do that. We have a flat dictionary in which a dictionary of a dictionary is being flattened out. So that means I can have attributes. Let's assume an attribute A is in a dictionary A, there is a attribute B, and I flatten it out, it would be then A dot B. We have also a dot dict that works on one single dictionary. So we can, for example, say if this is a dictionary, then we can use a dot notation, a dot argument, to visualize it. We have a debug method in which we can do a trace in case you get lost somewhere. You can just put the trace in, and it actually prints you out where that particular function is, including line numbers and file numbers. In case you want to do a dictionary, we have a specific function verbose for this that also does exclude secrets such as passwords from it, so that you can share your debugging information with others when you are working with that, without revealing your passwords. So we have other functions such as, for example, the shell. This is a really important program that includes an execute function in it, so that you can execute certain functions in it. But we also have a terminal function to, for example, start up another terminal. As you can see, this is not implemented in Windows, so if you need to have this for Windows, please go ahead and complete it. We would love for you to contribute your experiences in here. We have certainly other functions in there, like a live function that prints out a subprocess and prints out every single character of that subprocess when it arrives. So let me go back and down there. We have a ping process. We have other functions such as many Unix functions that are being simply called. And certainly they will not work in Windows, but you may not need this. And then the most important one is our execute. And you can pass along a command, and that command will be then executed in the shell that you have activated. And I recommend you to use this because it also redirects the output to a string variable that you can then use for further processing, and you can have an easier time accessing that information. So we have an mkdir function, and here we have at the end some very simplistic programs to show you how to use, for example, our execute. So with this, I have showcased you how common works, and we will showcase you some other libraries next. And I hope you enjoy using our methods because they're really easy to use. Thank you so much.